What you're doing is actually really smart. One of the best ways to build a portfolio when you don't have one is to make a list of your dream clients or the people that you want to work with, even the companies you want to work for if you want to go a more traditional route and you don't want to be an entrepreneur, and show them what you can do. Hey friends, welcome to my life. My name is Ellen, entrepreneur, podcast host, and founder of Cubicle to CEO. Follow my journey to 7 figures as I work in the trenches to build my business empire and help you build yours. I'd love to keep this just super casual and discussion based because I know it can be really boring to just listen to someone talk at you for an hour. So just feel free, anytime you have a question or you want to stop me in the middle of something, be like, hey, can you clarify that a little further? Don't be afraid to literally just jump in. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. So as she mentioned, I graduated from Oregon State 3 years ago. That's crazy. And I was class of 2016. I was a exercise and sports science major, so completely unrelated to business, to marketing, to anything that I've done in my professional career. And when I graduated, let me back up a little bit. When I was in my senior year, I'm sure a lot of you have to do like internships or something of that nature. And I remember kind of always feeling like the odd duck out because in my major, you know, when everyone would go around saying what they wanted to do after graduation, it was like physical therapy or going into med school or nursing, etc. And I was over here like, oh, I found this fitness company on Instagram and I'm doing their public relations. And so it was always kind of a little bit, you know, off what is normally expected. But after I graduated college, I actually got a full-time role working for this company that I had, again, found on Instagram. And what had happened is my senior year, junior year, I pitched them and said, hey, you know, I've been noticing that you have some areas that are lacking, your blog, your YouTube channel. These are things I can do for you. I would love to help you take over this stuff. And if I do well, would you be interested in considering me for a part-time position? So that's how I got started. They did upgrade me to a part-time role. So my senior year, I was waitressing, and then I was also working part-time as a publicist for this company. And then when I graduated, they offered me a full-time role with the company. So I ended up working for about a year in that position, and it was a work from home. So my career started out, you know, untraditionally as well. I was just working from my pajamas every day. And then eventually I left to go work for Samaritan. So I was in their marketing department for a little bit. I only lasted 10 months in the corporate cubicle life. And I did something kind of crazy, something my parents and probably most of your parents would not advise. I'm not advising anybody to do this, but it was right for me. So I quit my job after 10 months. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have anything in mind. And when I quit, I actually thought I was going to move up to Portland and apply for jobs there. So I was still looking for corporate jobs up there. I actually really wanted to work at Adidas for a while. And what ended up happening was, so I quit my job December 2017. And then in January, actually one of my old coworkers who I worked with at Samaritan, he reached out and said, hey, I know you just quit your job, and I've heard before that you have, you know, experience in Instagram marketing, and my wife and I own a coffee shop in Albany. And they were wondering if I'd be interested in helping them with their Instagram marketing for their coffee shop. So I said, you know, hey, why not? I'm unemployed. Might as well do this for a little side project until I, you know, find my full-time position. So I signed them as my first client, and very quickly things started to snowball from there. And I actually ended up, through another old coworker, she called me up and said, hey, so she used to be the area director for 24-hour fitness. And her employee at the time was a woman named Rachel. And, you know, they hadn't really worked together in many years, but she had gotten a call from Rachel because Rachel now worked for a up-and-coming cauliflower pizza brand. So have any of you guys ever heard of or eaten cauliflower pizza? Like it's kind of a big thing right now. Yes. Have any of you eaten Cauliflower Foods pizza by any chance? Maybe? Okay. They were the original cauliflower pizza crust on the market, and Rachel was the marketing director. So she called Molly to ask if she would be interested in helping their team with their social media engagement. And Molly, was still working her full-time job, so she actually passed the connection to me. And so I ended up signing them as my second and largest client. And from there, my business just took off. And I haven't looked back since. It's been almost 2 years now as an entrepreneur, and I've been able to do so many things that I never imagined I would have been able to do if I had stuck in the path that I thought I was going to take. Like this past year, I just got back from Minnesota where I spoke at a conference called BossCon, and I was looking back at my year, and every single month since January, I have either been out of country or out of state, traveling for work or doing something of that nature, and just thinking about how that kind of life wouldn't be possible if I worked in a traditional job where I was bound by, vacation days and having to ask to do X, Y, Z. It has been really incredible, and my passion is being able to talk with people just like you and help you guys figure out, how you can do something that may not be the clear-cut path that you were perhaps taught in school or told by society or your parents. So anyways, that's just kind of my story summed up in 5 minutes, but I would love to chat with you guys and kind of get to know you better and hear what you guys are doing and what you want to do after graduation that I can help with. Yeah, go for it.
When you were sitting in your past old job contemplating what you were going to do afterwards, was what you were doing now your first idea of when you thought, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, this is what I'm going to make my livelihood of?
Not at all. Not at all. I think my biggest piece of advice I can give people when they're looking at their career path is I think that a lot of people believe that they have to have these chronological steps measured out for, okay, I'm here and this is where I want to be, and they have a predetermined idea of how they're going to get to that end position. But everyone I have known who's either an entrepreneur or who has, risen to the top of very large, successful Fortune 500 companies, none of them got to where they are by following a set path. All of them have one thing in common, and the biggest thing is that they remained curious and they were willing to follow the leads they were given. So what I mean by that about staying curious and being willing to follow the leads that you're given is that sometimes when you're presented with an opportunity, you may feel like you're not the most qualified for it or you don't have any experience in it, but it intrigues you. It makes you curious. And you go, I wouldn't mind learning a little bit more about that. And if you say yes and you lean into that fear, that opportunity, even if you feel like you're not ready for it because there's no perfect timing for anything, trust me, if you're willing to make that leap of faith, you will find that the people that you meet, the connections that you make, the experience that you have that allow you to grow in that space are going to set your life on a completely different path. If I had been really stubborn and said, my degree is in exercise science, so I will not work in public relations because I don't have any experience. Or if when I left my corporate job and that first client came to me and said, hey, can you help me with my Instagram marketing? And I was like, nope, I'm looking for my next job up in Portland, so I can't do that project for you. I have no experience in running my business and I don't want to be an entrepreneur. If I had had that mindset, I never would have been able to land where I am right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do graphic design right now for the university, and I want to start freelancing.
That's amazing. Where do you get most of your clients currently?
Well, I'm just working for the school right now. I haven't started freelancing. I need to, I feel like I need to build my portfolio more, but it's hard to do that if you don't have a client. So right now I do fake companies. I'll do branding for some company that's just not real, just to show off what kind of work I can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far it's just working for housing and dining, for do graphic design.
That's awesome. What you're doing is actually really smart. One of the best ways to build a portfolio when you don't have one is to make a list of your dream clients or the people that you want to work with, even the companies you want to work for if you want to go a more traditional route and you don't want to be an entrepreneur, and show them what you can do with what they already have. Show them how you are different and provide value. That's actually how I got my job at Samaritan. When I was working in a corporate job. Do you guys talk about sales funnels in business classes? Any of your professors ever talk? Okay, so a little bit. What have they said? Just so I kind of have an understanding where you're coming from.
I have little, basically they just went over what it is, just briefly, just an overview of it. Sales funnels is it's different channels where you pretty much sell your product, right?
I was thinking like attracting the customer and then consideration, and then you pass the point of sale, and then after that's support, supporting the customer.
That's kind of a general idea. You guys are both kind of right. Obviously, my expertise is in the online business space, so I'll try to explain sales funnels through that context. But as you know, most of our world is moving digitally. Most stores have some sort of online presence or online product. So just like a normal funnel, if you guys have ever used a physical funnel, if you're funneling rice into a water bottle, it's wide at the top, right? And then it gets more narrow as you go here. So if you guys are starting a business, you want to think about, okay, there's two types of audiences. There's cold audiences and there's warm audiences. So a cold audience is someone who has never heard of you before. So before today, you guys have probably never heard of me. So you guys would be a cold audience, okay? Maybe after this session over, you're slightly more warm. So you have to understand that in marketing and in business, there's only ever two audiences. If you have a prospecting audience and a retargeting audience. Because someone's either never heard of you, so they're a prospect, or they've seen you somewhere before and you're coming back to them. So now you're retargeting them. So over here at the top, you are thinking about, how do I fill my funnel? And so if you're filling your funnel, you're gonna be thinking, if you're using social media, for example, that is a form of a traffic driver, right? So things like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. It doesn't matter if it's organic social media or paid social media. And if you don't know what that means, that just means organic is anything that if you go and post a picture of yourself on Instagram, that's organic social media. You didn't put any ad dollars behind it. If you went into Facebook and you created a Facebook ad, now that is paid traffic because you put ad dollars to show it to certain people, right? So if we're thinking about social media is just one form of a traffic driver that fills your funnel. This is one way that your business gets in front of somebody for the first time. They might see it in their feed or get hit with it with an ad and go, oh, I have never heard of this thing before, but now I've seen it somewhere. Other sources of traffic could be, referral traffic, like if you are in networking groups, or maybe you're in Facebook groups, or you do traditional advertising, like you are on TV or in a billboard, or you have a magazine print ad, something like that. Whatever it is, it's that first impression that brings somebody into your funnel and allows them to say, oh, okay, I've seen this person or this brand at least one time. From there, you are going to want to nurture them. So this is a traffic driver, right? This is the top of the funnel. You're going to gather a lot of people here at the top of the funnel who are not your ideal customers, and that's okay. There's a reason why the funnel gets more narrow, because not everybody's going to convert into a paid customer. And you have to be crystal clear on exactly who you're trying to target with your business in order to get them here. Because if you're not sure who you're trying to talk to, your messaging is going to flop big time. And a secret of marketing to understand is that people think that customers buy because a product is good. And this is a huge mistake I see with a lot of businesses. They talk about how great their products are or how great their company is, and they go, for example, I'm sure you've all heard this before. In traditional sales, professors will be like, okay, sell me this pen. Have any of you ever heard that before? That example? And people usually start with features, and they're like, oh, well, it writes really smoothly, and it's like black ink, and it's whatever. You have to understand that your messaging is what sells the person. People buy stories, they do not buy products. How your story makes somebody feel is how you sell them. Because the truth is, oftentimes, and you as a consumer may have experienced this yourself, we don't buy based on logic. We always buy based on emotion, and then we justify our purchases with logic. So we want something, we buy it, and then we go, this was a good purchase because XYZ, and we justify it with logic. So when you're talking about messaging, I'm just gonna write this really quick. When you are talking about how you talk about your product, you want to talk about the result or the transformation. This is number one. If you can understand even just this one thing, you're gonna be so much further ahead than most marketers. The result and transformation is what sells someone. It's not the benefits, and it's not the features. This is in order. So benefits are gonna be more powerful than features, but results and transformations are always gonna trump benefits. Let me give you the most simple example of this. If you were trying to sell a vacuum cleaner, if you were to talk about the features, you might be like, this newest model uses less electricity and it has X power, whatever, things like that. It's very sleek and thin and light. Those are features. If you're going to talk about the benefits, you might say something like, this vacuum cleaner cleans our carpets 80% better than the traditional vacuum cleaner. That's more appealing to me as a consumer. I'll be like, okay, yeah, I want a cleaner carpet. But it still might not sell me. The result that you're going for in their minds is their deeper why. Their deeper why of the true pain point they're experiencing. And oftentimes, when you're talking to someone about a vacuum cleaner, people don't want cleaner carpets for the sake of cleaner carpets. They want cleaner carpets because a cluttered house or a dirty house makes them feel stressed and anxious. And what a clean carpet actually does is it gives them peace of mind. That's how you sell the customer. If you can make them understand why your vacuum cleaner gives them peace of mind, you've now sold them. It has nothing to do with the benefits or the features. It has everything to do with the transformation. So make sure you understand that in your messaging. So again, back to funnel. You have your traffic drivers, then you have your nurturing. Most people will not buy the first time they come across your product or your brand. In fact, often it takes like 7 to 8 touch points before a customer will ever make a decision to move forward on anything. So that means in the meantime, there may be like 1% of people who convert immediately. Like, you guys have all seen a Facebook ad, for something stupid in your feed, and you're like, yes, I'm gonna buy it, it's like $5. And then you buy it and you're like, okay, whatever, it was a waste of money, but you don't care. Most people are not gonna do something like that. They need nurturing. And so how you nurture people is through stuff like content. Okay, running out of space. I'm gonna erase this. Okay. How you nurture people is through things like content. So this is like the content that you post on social maybe, through email marketing, like an email sequence, through perhaps it's a sales call. The best way for me to explain this is to use a digital sales funnel. So let's just talk about, okay, someone shout out, like, what's a product you may have seen recently in your Facebook newsfeed? Just something random. Anyone?
Camera.
A camera. Okay. So let's say you got hit with that Facebook ad, right? They caught you. I'm gonna actually show you how they market to you. So they caught you at the top of the funnel. They hit you with a paid ad for a camera. So their traffic driver was a paid Facebook ad. You saw it, right? Maybe you just scrolled right on past it. You might have noticed that like the next day or a week later, you keep getting re-hit with that same ad. Have you guys ever experienced that before? You saw it and then it came back to you, right? Now they are nurturing you. They are retargeting you with that ad because they said, okay, this person watched our 30-second video about our camera for 10 seconds. This shows intent. They had some sort of interest in our camera. So we're gonna group together everybody who watched our video for 10 seconds and we're gonna retarget them with a second ad. Now they're nurturing you. So maybe you still don't do anything. You're like, okay, I saw you, now I saw you again with a different ad, but I still don't care. And then maybe later in the week they hit you with something like, hey, if you give us your email now, we are going to send you a coupon or a free gift or something that you really want. So now you're like, okay, I'll give you my email. If you gave them your email in exchange for a coupon or whatever it is, you've gone from a cold audience member to a warm audience member, and you are now a lead in their sales system. Now as a lead, you have progressed from a Facebook ad, and now they're gonna hit you with email marketing. So maybe you don't even open that first email with that coupon, but you may have noticed that now that you've signed up for that coupon, they're gonna hit you with a sequence of 7 emails. Each of them are designed to get you to make that conversion, the buy. So this is how they're gonna nurture you. And how each company does it is completely different, but that's just one example. And so then, eventually, after they've nurtured you, here is where you actually make the decision somewhere to buy. So if you have a business and you're setting it up, you need to understand, how do you guide a customer from the first time they see you to actually buy? It's never as simple as, here, I'm gonna post something about my product and how awesome it is, and hopefully you buy, and if you don't buy the first time, I'm gonna post 7 more times, and hopefully you buy the 7th time. If you rely on that strategy, you're gonna get like a fraction of the people that you could, because the fortune is in the follow-up. The true power of marketing is in retargeting. It's not in the prospecting of cold audiences, it's in the retargeting of warm audiences. And so this is really important to understand, and you should map it out for your business if you don't understand that funnel yet. Does that make sense? Was there one more question over here?
Yeah, question. In your experience, is entrepreneurship more of a zero-sum game, or is it about creating value?
Is it more about what?
Is it more about creating value, or is it a zero-sum game in your experience?
What do you mean by a zero-sum game?
Like you win and someone else loses.
Oh, no. Good question. I think that all good business should be a win-win for everybody. If you are not creating a win-win situation, there is something wrong with your business model. Because at the end of the day, and this is what scares people about sales too, I think, is people are afraid to sell, either sell themselves in a job interview or sell their product or their business because they feel like, I don't want to be sleazy, I don't want to be pushy. But you have to understand, you are only being pushy if you are trying to push a solution onto somebody who doesn't have the problem that your solution solves in the first place. So that's why it's so important that you get crystal clear on who your customer is, what their pain points are, and why the story you're telling around your business matters. And if you are finding the people with the right pain points, anytime you sell them on something, it's a win-win for both of you, because you're solving the problem that they have, and you are also benefiting from being able to provide that service or that product.